really got into producing because stuff was stale at the time when I started making beats. Like I came in just as a DJ and hosting tapes and stuff.
And what?
You know, like the stuff with Gucci.
Yeah,
you know,
right,
like
right.
we did Chicken Talk. I did Dro's first tape. I still got that Dro. Yellow Wolf. You know what I'm saying? His first big project. Freddie Gibbs. There's a bunch of people. You know what I'm saying? But at a certain time, like I think it was the year I did Pills 4180 tape. You know, like the tape that really jumped him off. The tracks that I was getting from artists who wanted to do tapes, the beats were so bad, man. Like, and not even bad, like they're hitting the wrong note. Bad, like it's so played. This style is just old. Like, there's so much technology and so much music out there. If you listen to anything from fucking Europe or anywhere, you know, like you'll get thoughts like, okay, let me see what I can do and help. You know, I didn't feel like anybody was applying themselves in that way. You know, now it's a lot better. You know, you got like fucking Metro Boom and Childish Major, DJ Dahi. You know, you got like a lot of producers that are trying shit and just doing them, you know what I'm saying, coming up with new waves and stuff. But back then shit was just dry, man. So I just took a whole year and just taught myself how to make beats, you know. So I got Reason, and I would just make 5 or 6 beats a day. They were terrible, dog, like horrible beats, like that will never be heard again. But I just did them for a year, and I knew, like, I was like, if I do this shit for a year, at a year, I feel like I'll know whether this is it or not, you know. And at the end, dog, I had people that was already starting to pick beats that I wasn't even playing it for people, you know. Like they would just come by, and I'm like, oh, I'm just working on this. Oh man, that shit's whatever, you know. So people would start getting beats like that, and then after a year, I was like, all right, man, let me go and play people, see what they think, you know. And people were super fucking with it, you know.
I'm still bugging off your transformation because I was fucking with you all the way back then when you was doing, like, you was just a mixtape DJ and doing the mixtape, to see where you grew from there and come through now. That shit's crazy.
Yeah, man, I feel like I'm kind of part of the generation that fucks with everything, dog. You know, like generations before us were still kind of segregated in a certain extent, whether it be musically, geographically, whatever, you know. But now everything is so widely available and everybody's so close and interconnected, man. I feel like me, like I said, me, the Metro Boomers, and people like that, we represent a generation that just fuck with everything, dog. So I just want to reflect that in the music. That's how I can go from doing a Chicken Talk with the most hood street, whatever, you know, and then do this Indeed-Face album that's just the most fucking pop, fun, cool, you know what I'm saying, different funky thing. I feel like every project I just look at as its own thing, you know? Like each project I'm like, let me create a sound just for this and just see where it goes, you know? Just about experimentation, man. So I'm happy to see that's where it's at now, you know?
Speaking on your band, where did you meet your band?
My band is Indeed-Face, and Ricky and Walter, like the main vocalists, you know what I'm saying? So I met Walt live probably about 8 or 9 years ago. I was working with the Backwoods. You ever heard the Backwoods?
Yeah, I heard that actually.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I was over there messing with them because they signed to Dallas Austin. So that was like the first studio. That and Grand Hustle was like the first studios I really cut my teeth in, just hanging around and being a fly on the wall, you know, like just seeing what these little different things do and all this, you know. But I met Walt there. He was doing some production with the group, or just getting his feet wet in that, you know. And me and him just kept in contact, and I started managing him just as a producer after that whole situation kind of blew up. And he ended up doing like God in the Building for Killer Mike, Hold Up for Player Circle, which was like the first 2 Chainz record, you know what I'm saying, and all that. So we were pretty cool. Then he went back to school, or he went back to Mobile because he's from Mobile. He came back about like 2 or 3 years later, and like I think it was like the first couple weeks he was back, me and him linked back up. We hadn't really talked, but we linked back up, and he came up to the house and we vibed on something because I wasn't even making beats when I was messing with him. Like I would just come over and watch him, and we would go to studio sessions and shit, you know. So I want to say he came up to my apartment and we just vibed on the record. It was just one beat, like I did a dummy drum pattern and he played the keys, and that was really it. He left, and then 2 days later, I want to say I bumped into Ricky. Like I'd already kind of known about him in the city, and I shot him just the dummy idea that me and Walter came up with. And he happened to live on the street with his bass player, so he walked down to the bass player's house, and him and the bass player played on it. And the record ended up being Lucy Says Hi off the Ashtray. It's an instrumental project we put out about 3.5 years ago. It was like the first song on there. And it was just, like, when I heard it back, I was like, dog, this is the wave. I don't even know what, because I always used to think, like, yo, I just want anybody to play live instruments on my shit. Like, as soon as I get a live guitarist, I'm good. And then you, like, hear some guitars on the track, and you're like, damn, you got to, like, pick the part you want to use and figure out where you're going to put it and EQ it. And it's like you're making your own samples. I didn't grasp that part yet. You know, like, you take for granted, like, being able to sample off a record. That's 15 or hundreds of years of experience for each player on that record, plus the mix and plus the mastering. Like, it's a perfectly made piece of music when you sample. Like, when you're just tracking shit in with different instrument players and shit, like, you're making the sample by part, you know? So I had to learn that part, but even just the very first thing they played, man, because they just played over the whole thing. They didn't sequence it or nothing. They both just played one long tape, And I heard it, and I was like, I don't want to change nothing.
Yeah.
I don't want to edit this. I don't want to put a hook. I don't want to do nothing. This is going to come out exactly like how it sounds, you know? And we put it out, dog. Everybody loves that song. You know, like when people hit me up, like, yo, Lucy says hi, you know? So that let me know, like, all right, this is the squad right here, you know? So we just been working, and after those sessions, Ricky and Walt would just stay after the sessions, because we would go in for like 15 hours a day. And they would just stay after and just vibe. And finally one day they were like, yo, we've just been vibing on some songs and playing like 6 records. I was like, yeah, this shit sounds different. Like, it doesn't sound like the new album, but I knew it was like, shit, let's just put it out. Why don't y'all be a group, you know? We put out an EP, then we put out another project, and we just been shooting videos and doing stuff ever since, you know? Just been kind of building up.
So like you said, you got that band that you're dealing with. Is there any other artists outside of the band that you got like under your wing, or that you've just been focusing on working with right now?
The main artist has been Scotty ATL. Like, I'm executive producer on all his projects and stuff like that. And we linked up about 4 years ago, like right around the time we really formed 5 Points, which is my production crew. We linked up with him. I met him over at Block Studio. He was rapping and just trying to get in where he fit in. You know, I could tell the beats he was rapping on weren't really inspiring. So I could tell he wasn't rapping inspired, you know, but I liked the tone of his voice. I was like, I like that tone. And I've been looking for a rapper to work with, so we got together and did Summer Dreams like a year or two later. And that shit made like Spin's top mixtapes of the year and all this shit, you know, like all these accolades and shit. So I was like, all right, let's just keep building, you know. And his work ethic is crazy. Like, his grind level exceeds mine. I feel like that's the only kind of artist I want to work with, like, because I work super hard. So if I can find somebody that works harder than me, you're gonna have a champion. I'm a champion in your shit, you know. So Scotty's always been working, man. I just continue pushing this shit, you know, like helping him get features, helping him with his flows, helping him with everything, you know. Like he's still learning on his own, but I feel like he takes direction well and takes certain things and then he'll go with it, you know. If I tell him something, he'll take a little bit of what I said and just run with that shit, you know. So he's one of the main artists we've been working with. We just put out Spaghetti Junction a couple months ago, and that's doing real well. And we just did like a little deal with him and B.O.B. and No Genre. So about to see how it goes, you know. But working with him, we got a new album coming out with S.L. Jones called Cuz. He's an artist from Little Rock. He's super tight, man. The album is like extra wavy, like definitely on weird shit, but it's knocking and it's got like real cool vibes and shit, you know. But we got that. I got a couple people out South Carolina I'm fucking with. Rockin' Yella. These young cats, they got a song called Wide Open that's starting to pick up. And Stadium P, he's another artist that we got that's coming out in February. We got a whole project coming out on him. So just a bunch of stuff like that, working with like a lot of female artists and different things, just trying to stretch out and really collaborate and work with different people. You know, like we're working with like Ryan Hemsworth, Kick Rocks. We're just in the studio with this band called Waves. They're like super dope and pretty big. So we're just out there trying to stretch it out, man. You know, just trying to see what we can do.
You was talking earlier about your production company, 5 Points. How did that come about? How did you come up with the name?
Well, once we started vibing, me, Ricky, and Walt started vibing and realizing like, all right, this sounds pretty cool. I was like, man, we gotta think of a name for it, you know. And the 5 Point shit just kind of came to me because just walking around Little Five, we got an area, and in most cities they got a place called 5 Point. But to me, like in those areas, it's like the cool part of town, but not like trendy cool. Like people are trying to fit in cool. It's like people are just who they are, and you being super original and you makes you cool. Like you don't have to look like the next person, sound like the next person to be cool or no shit like that. So I feel like our music embodies that. You know, like there's nothing that we're trying to be like. There's nothing that we're trying to like. There's nobody we're trying to be like, but we have a lot of influences and stuff like that. You know, and I feel like appreciating everybody for their own individuality is what makes the group so strong. You know, so.